What's up, Amelia from Revenge Rewired here. Today's story, absolutely wild. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. I met Vanessa Torres during my first week at Pixelcraft, a mid-sized design agency in San Francisco. She was the senior UX designer with an impressive portfolio and a charismatic presence that filled every room she entered. I was the new product designer, eager to prove myself and learn from experienced colleagues. "You've got talent," Vanessa told me after reviewing my onboarding project. "Raw talent. I could teach you a lot about how this industry really works." I was flattered. Vanessa had worked with major brands, spoken at design conferences, and had 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, where she regularly posted about design, philosophy, and leadership. Having her as a mentor seemed like an incredible opportunity. 3 months into my job, I started working on a personal project during evenings and weekends, a mobile app designed for mental health and wellness called Mindful. The concept was a daily emotional check-in app that used innovative data visualization to help users track their mental health patterns over time. Instead of typical mood trackers with simple emoji faces, I was designing an interface that transformed emotional data into beautiful, meaningful visual journeys. The design philosophy was entirely mine: use color theory and generative art to create personalized, emotional landscapes that evolved based on user input. Each user's mental health journey would be represented by a unique, flowing visual narrative: mountains for peaks, valleys for lows, rivers for transitions. It was art meeting psychology, meeting technology. I was excited about it. So excited that I made a mistake. I told Vanessa. "This is incredible," she said, reviewing my early Figma mockups during a coffee break. "The visual concept is so fresh. Nothing like this exists in the mental health app space. Thanks. I've been working on it for about 2 months now. I'm hoping to maybe launch it independently or pitch it to a startup." "Have you thought about the business model, monetization strategy?" "Not really. I'm still focused on getting the design right." Vanessa nodded thoughtfully. "Design is important, but you need to think bigger. This could be worth real money if positioned correctly." I appreciated her interest. Over the next several months, Vanessa would occasionally ask about my progress on Mindful. I'd show her updates, explain my design decisions, and walk her through the user flow improvements I was developing. "You should really protect this IP," she mentioned once. "Make sure you're documenting everything as yours." "I am. Everything's in my personal Figma account with my name on it." "Smart," she said. "You never know in this industry." I thought she was looking out for me. I was wrong. 14 months after I started designing Mindful, Vanessa came into the office buzzing with energy. She gathered several colleagues, including me, in the conference room. "I have exciting news," she announced, her smile radiant. "I've been working on a personal project, a mental health app design called Serenity. And I've just sold the entire design package to Mindspace Technologies for $3 million. My stomach dropped. "The acquisition closes next week," Vanessa continued. "Mindspace loves the concept emotional data visualization using generative art to create personalized wellness journeys. They think it's revolutionary." I sat frozen. Those were my exact concepts. My design philosophy, my innovation. "Vanessa," I said carefully, "can I see the designs?" "Sure. I'm so proud of them." She pulled up a presentation on the conference room screen. My work stared back at me. The color palettes I'd agonized over. The user flow I'd refined through 20 iterations. The emotional landscape concept I'd developed. The specific animation transitions I'd designed. My typography choices. My iconography style. Everything was identical to Mindful except the name had been changed to Serenity, and Vanessa's name was on every screen as the designer. "This looks very similar to Mindful," I said, my voice shaking. Vanessa's expression didn't change. "I was inspired by our conversations about your project. You had some interesting ideas. I took the concept in my own direction and created something market-ready. That's not inspiration. That's my exact design." "Design is iterative," Vanessa said smoothly. "We all influence each other. You should be flattered that your ideas sparked my creativity. Consider it a collaboration." "I never agreed to collaborate. You copied my work." The room had gone silent. Our coworkers looked uncomfortable. Vanessa's tone hardened. "Look, you had a nice hobby project. I created a professional, market-ready product that a major company wanted to acquire. There's a difference between a junior designer's side project and a commercially viable design package. I suggest you be careful about making accusations." She dismissed the meeting. As everyone filed out, Vanessa pulled me aside. "Don't make this ugly," she said quietly. "You're young and talented. You have a career ahead of you. But if you try to claim credit for my work, I'll make sure every design agency in San Francisco knows you're litigious and difficult to work with. Tech is a small world. Think carefully about your next move." That evening, Vanessa posted on LinkedIn, thrilled to announce that my mental health app design Serenity has been acquired by Mindspace Technologies. This 18-month passion project represents my vision for the future of digital wellness. Grateful to my supportive team and everyone who believed in this concept. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the most rewarding outcomes. #UX design, #product design, #innovation, #digital health. The post had 300 likes within an hour. Colleagues commented with congratulations. Design influencers praised her innovation. Her follower count jumped to 17,000. I read that post 3 times. Grateful to my supportive team. I wasn't her team. I was her victim. But I wasn't worried because I had documented everything. I didn't confront Vanessa again. I didn't post angry responses on LinkedIn or vent to coworkers. Instead, I opened my laptop and began compiling evidence. First, my Figma files. I had 89 separate design files for the Mindful project, spanning 14 months of work. Every file had complete version history showing every change I'd made, every iteration I'd developed, every design decision I'd executed. Figma's version control is meticulous. It timestamps every edit, tracks every collaborator, and maintains a complete audit trail. My files showed an unbroken chain of creation. File 001. Initial concept sketches. Created March 12, 2023. File 015. First complete user flow. Created April 3, 2023. File 032. Color palette development. Created June 18, 2023. File 054. Emotional landscape visualization system. Created September 2, 2023. File 089. Final polished designs. Created April 30, 2020. For every single file was created by my account. Every edit was made by me. The version history showed my design process, the experiments, the refinements, the gradual perfection of the concept. Vanessa's name appeared nowhere in my Figma files. She had 0 editing access, 0 contributions, 0 involvement. Next, I compiled my emails. 156 emails over 14 months documenting my solo work. Emailed to myself, March 15, 2023. Ideas for mental health appeals, generative art, to visualize emotional patterns. Each user gets unique landscape that evolves with their mood data. Email to a developer friend. May 22, 2023. Attaching mock-ups of the emotional landscape concept. Think mountains, valleys, metaphor from mood peaks and lows. What do you think technically feasible? Email to Vanessa, July 8, 2023. Here's the latest iteration of Mindful. Really happy with how the color transitions are working to represent emotional shifts. That last email was particularly damning. I'd sent Vanessa my designs multiple times, showing her my progress. She'd never sent me anything. She'd never contributed designs. She'd only consumed my work. Then I pulled my Slack message history with Vanessa. The messages told a devastating story. Vanessa, August 14, 2023. Quick question: how did you create that flowing transition effect in your mood screens? Me, I used Figma's advanced prototyping with custom easing curves. Happy to show you the technique. Vanessa, October 3, 2023. What's your thought process behind the color palette? I love how calming it feels. Me, color psychology research. Blues and greens for anxiety reduction. Warm oranges for energy. Each emotion gets a specific color family. Vanessa, December 12, 2023. Can you explain the data visualization logic again? How do user inputs become the landscape? These weren't colleague-to-colleague exchanges. These were a novice asking an expert basic questions about concepts I'd created. Vanessa was questioning me about my own design philosophy, my own technical methods, my own innovations. She was learning from me so she could steal from me. I also had the original files from before I ever showed Vanessa my work. My earliest Figma files from March 2023 predated our first conversation about the project by 2 weeks. I'd started developing Mindful before Vanessa even knew it existed. Finally, I had something Vanessa probably didn't know existed. my Instagram account where I'd posted design process snippets. I had a small following of about 800 designers, and I'd occasionally shared work-in-progress screenshots of Mindful with timestamps visible. Instagram posts, April 8, 2023. Photo of my early sketches with the caption exploring how to visualize mental health data in meaningful ways. Early concept for personal project. Hashtag UX design. Hashtag work in progress. Instagram post, September 15, 2023. Screenshot of the emotional landscape system with caption. The breakthrough moment when your design concept finally clicks. Mountains, valleys, rivers each representing different emotional states. Hashtag design process. Hashtag mental health tech. These public posts proved I'd been working on this concept months before. Vanessa claimed to have started her 18-month passion project. Armed with this evidence, I contacted an intellectual property attorney named David Brennan, who specialized in design theft and copyright infringement. This is extraordinary documentation, David said during our first meeting. Scrolling through my Figma files, most design theft cases struggle with proof of original authorship. You have time-stamped version control showing every iteration of your work. This is airtight. Can we stop the acquisition? The acquisition is probably already in motion, but we can certainly make Mindspace Technologies aware that they're purchasing stolen intellectual property. We'll also pursue claims against Vanessa for copyright infringement, fraud, and unjust enrichment. David's paralegal, Kim, helped me create a comprehensive evidence package. We organized everything chronologically, timeline, showing my 14 months of documented work, all 89 Figma files with complete version history, all 156 emails demonstrating my solo process, Slack messages showing Vanessa's questions about my concepts, Instagram posts proving public disclosure of my work, side-by-side comparison showing Vanessa's Serenity was identical to my Mindful. Kim also discovered something crucial. Vanessa had only created her Figma account for Serenity 6 weeks before announcing the acquisition. Her file timestamps showed she decopied my designs in a frantic burst of activity over just 3 weeks. She literally duplicated your files, Kim showed me. Look, your final design files are dated April 30th. Her first Serenity files appear May 15th. She copied your completed work and changed the name. We also pulled her LinkedIn posts. Vanessa had claimed an 18-month passion project, but her social media showed no mention of Serenity. Until 3 months ago. Before that, she'd never posted about mental health apps or emotional data visualization. I had 14 months of documented work. She had 6 weeks of copying. David filed 2 actions simultaneously. First, a lawsuit against Vanessa for copyright infringement, fraudulent misrepresentation, and conversion of intellectual property. Second, a detailed notice to Mindspace Technologies informing them that the design package they'd acquired was stolen property. We're providing Mindspace with your complete evidence package, David explained. They need to know that purchasing this design exposes them to significant legal liability. If they proceed with using your stolen work, they'll be liable for contributory infringement. The letter to Mindspace's legal counsel was direct. Our client, the true creator and copyright holder of the designs sold to you as Serenity, demands immediate cessation of any use of the stolen intellectual property. Attached is comprehensive evidence proving Ms. Torres fraudulently misrepresented stolen designs as her own original work. We sent the letter on a Thursday. Vanessa's celebration party was scheduled for Friday evening. Vanessa had rented out a trendy rooftop bar in Soma for her celebration party. She'd invited everyone from Pixelcraft, plus industry contacts, design influencers, and apparently some executives from Mindspace Technologies. The invitation had read, "Join me in celebrating the Serenity acquisition. Big risks, big rewards. Here's to innovation and the courage to pursue your vision." I didn't attend, but according to my co-workers, the party was in full swing around 7 p.m. Vanessa was giving an impromptu speech about her design journey when her phone began buzzing insistently. She glanced at it, and her face went pale. The first call was from Mindspace's head of legal. The second was from their chief technology officer. The third was from her own attorney. All had received David's letter and evidence package. Vanessa excused herself from her own party and spent 30 minutes on the phone in a corner of the bar. When she returned, my coworker said she looked shaken but tried to maintain her composure. Small hiccup with the paperwork. she announced with a forced smile. Nothing to worry about, but everyone could see something was wrong. The following Monday, David received a call from Mindspace's general counsel. "We've reviewed your evidence package," the attorney said. "It's extremely concerning. We had no idea Ms. Torres had misrepresented the design's authorship. We're putting the acquisition on hold pending investigation." Mindspace launched an immediate internal review. Their technical team compared Vanessa's Serenity files to my Figma documentation. The similarities weren't just close, they were identical, down to layer naming conventions and component organization. "This is a direct copy," Mindspace's design director told their legal team. The original designer even left comments in layers like "try warmer orange here" and "adjust transition timing." Ms. Torres kept those exact comments in her files. She didn't even bother to clean up the evidence. Mindspace demanded a deposition with Vanessa. David insisted I be present with my attorney. The deposition took place in Mindspace's downtown San Francisco office. Their attorneys, their design director, Vanessa, her attorney, David, and I, all sat around a large conference table. Mindspace's lead attorney, Sharon Kim, didn't waste time. "Ms. Torres, you represented to Mindspace that Serenity was your original design work, correct?" "Yes, and you stated that you'd been working on this project for 18 months. "I worked on the concept for 18 months. Can you show us your design files from the beginning of that 18-month period?" Vanessa's attorney interjected. "My client's file organization is her own business practice." Sharon pulled out printouts of my Figma file timestamps. "We've reviewed your Figma account. Your first Serenity file was created May 15, 2024. That's 6 weeks ago, not 18 months. Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. "I worked in other programs first. Sketch, Adobe XD. Can you provide those files?" I don't have them anymore. I transitioned everything to Figma." Sharon placed my evidence package on the table. "Ms. Torres, we have documentation showing that another Chen, who is present today, created this exact design over a 14-month period, 89 Figma files with complete version history, 156 emails documenting her process, Slack messages where you asked her basic questions about her design concepts. Can you explain this?" Vanessa's face flushed. "We worked in the same office. Design inspiration happens. Similar ideas develop. These aren't similar ideas." Sharon pulled up side-by-side comparisons on a large monitor. "These are identical designs. Same layouts, same color codes, same typography, same animation specifications, same user flows, even the same layer comments. You copied Ms. Chen's work." The design director, a woman named Paula, leaned forward. "Ms. Torres, I'm a designer. I understand iteration and inspiration. But this ... she gestured at the screen. "This is pixel-perfect duplication. Can you walk me through your design process for the emotional landscape visualization?" Vanessa hesitated. I researched mental health needs and developed a visual metaphor system. Specifically, how did you decide on mountains for mood peaks and rivers for transitions? It's an intuitive metaphor. Mountains represent highs. Paula cut her off. "Ms. Chen, can you explain your design process?" I'd been silent until now. "I researched color psychology and data visualization theory. I studied generative art algorithms and emotional representation in visual culture. I tested 12 different metaphor systems before settling on the landscape approach. I documented every decision in my design files, including notes about why other approaches didn't work as well." Paula nodded. "That's what good design process looks like." "Ms. Torres, do you have similar documentation?" Silence. Sharon continued. "Ms. Torres, Ms. Chen, has Instagram posts from April and September 2023 showing her work on this project. She has emails to colleagues from March 2023 discussing the concept. She has Figma version history showing 14 months of iterative development. You have 6 weeks of files that appear to be direct copies. Can you provide any evidence that you independently created this design?" Vanessa looked at her attorney. He looked defeated. "I may have been more influenced by Ms. Chen's work than I initially realized," Vanessa said carefully. "Perhaps we can discuss a collaboration credit arrangement." "This isn't collaboration," Sharon said coldly. "This is theft. You fraudulently sold us another designer's work. Do you understand the legal exposure you've created for our company?" David spoke for the first time. "My client is the copyright holder of these designs. Ms. Torres had no authority to sell them. The acquisition agreement is void because Ms. Torres sold property she didn't own. Sharon nodded. We agree. Mindspace is terminating the acquisition effective immediately. Ms. Torres will be seeking recovery of any funds already transferred and pursuing our own legal claims for fraud and misrepresentation. Vanessa's face had gone from flushed to ashen. You can't terminate, we can, and we are. You committed fraud. This meeting is over. The lawsuit moved quickly once Mindspace confirmed my evidence. Vanessa's position was indefensible. Her attorney tried one desperate argument, that because I'd shown her my designs and discussed them with her, she had some implied right to use them. David dismantled that in our response brief. Showing someone your work doesn't grant them ownership, David wrote. If I show you a painting I created, you don't then have the right to sell copies of it as your own. Ms. Torres had zero ownership rights to Ms. Chun's designs. The copyright infringement was clear-cut. My Figma files proved original authorship with unimpeachable timestamps. My emails and Slack messages proved Vanessa had no creative involvement. Her own file timestamps proved she'd copied my completed work. 3 months after filing the lawsuit, Vanessa's attorney requested a settlement conference. The settlement terms were comprehensive. First, Vanessa was required to pay me $2.1 million, 70% of what Mindspace had originally agreed to pay her. The court found that she'd been unjustly enriched by attempting to sell my intellectual property. Second, Vanessa was required to issue public corrections. She posted on LinkedIn. I must correct previous statements regarding the Serenity app design. The designs were created by my former colleague, and I improperly claimed credit for her work. I apologize for this misrepresentation and have settled all legal claims arising from my actions. Her 15,000 followers saw her admission of theft. The comments were brutal. Other designers shared their own experiences with idea theft. Several companies quietly removed her from their vendor lists. Third, Vanessa was required to transfer all rights, files, and materials related to Serenity to me. Everything she'd stolen came back to me, not that I needed it, since I had all the originals anyway. Fourth, Vanessa was permanently prohibited from claiming any involvement in my work or using any designs I created in the future. Pixelcraft terminated Vanessa's employment 3 days after the deposition. According to my former colleagues, she was escorted out of the office by HR with a box of her belongings. Her LinkedIn profile, which had prominently featured Serenity and the $3 million acquisition, was quietly edited. Then she deleted it entirely. Her design career in San Francisco was over. Meanwhile, Mindspace Technologies contacted me directly. We're still very interested in your design work, Sharon Kim told me. Would you be willing to discuss a legitimate acquisition? I negotiated my own deal. Mindspace acquired the full design package for Mindful Now, properly attributed to me, for $3.2 million, slightly more than they'd originally offered Vanessa. But more importantly, they hired me as their senior product designer, with equity in a leadership role in developing the mental health platform. We want the actual innovator on our team, their CEO told me. You created something special, and we want you to help us bring it to market. 6 months later, I was leading a team of 8 designers at Mindspace. The Mindful app we kept my original name launched to strong reviews. Mental health advocates praised the innovative approach to data visualization. Design publications featured it as an example of thoughtful, user-centered design. TechCrunch wrote, Mindful represents a breakthrough in mental health app design, combining sophisticated data visualization with genuine empathy for user experience. Designer Maya Chen has created something both beautiful and therapeutic. My name, my work, my innovation, finally recognized correctly. I never spoke to Vanessa again. I heard she'd moved to Seattle and was working in marketing, no longer claiming to be a designer. The experience taught me several crucial lessons about protecting creative work. I now watermark all work-in-progress files. I document every client conversation. I register copyrights for major projects before showing them to anyone. But I also learned something more important. Trust your documentation. When Vanessa posted grateful to my supportive team on LinkedIn, she thought I was powerless. She thought I was just a junior designer who'd be too intimidated to fight back. She thought her seniority, her network, and her charisma would protect her. She didn't account for my 89 Figma files with complete version history. She didn't account for my 156 emails documenting my solo process. She didn't account for the Slack messages where she asked me basic questions about my own concepts. She didn't account for the truth being meticulously documented. A year after the settlement, I was invited to speak at a design conference in San Francisco, the same conference where Vanessa had spoken years earlier. Protect your work, I told the audience of designers. Use version control religiously. Document your process. Keep contemporaneous records. Save your emails. Screenshot your messages. Your documentation is your proof of authorship. After my talk, a young designer approached me nervously. Someone at my agency keeps asking detailed questions about my personal project, she said. It's making me uncomfortable, but I don't want to seem paranoid. I thought about Vanessa's questions. How did you create that effect? What's your thought process? Can you explain the logic again? Questions designed to learn so she could steal. Trust your instincts, I told the young designer. And document everything. Every file, every email, every conversation. Version control is your best friend. She thanked me, already pulling out her phone to screenshot our conversation. I smiled. The truth, properly documented, is unbeatable. Vanessa's celebration party had ended with my cease and desist letter. Her fraud had ended with public admission and a $2.1 million settlement. Her design career had ended with professional disgrace. My career was thriving. Mindful was helping thousands of users track their mental health. My team at Mindspace was developing new innovations in digital wellness. All because I'd documented everything. The Figma timestamps don't lie. The version history tells the truth. The evidence speaks for itself. Vanessa had bet that stealing was easier than creating. She learned an expensive lesson. Documentation beats deception. Every time.